I stared at the pristine golden envelope sitting on my wooden desk, unsure whether to burn it or laugh. After 6 years of absolute silence from my family, an invitation to my sister Chloe had finally arrived. She was marrying Preston Vance, a decorated officer whose life I had saved during a brutal deployment overseas. They had discarded me long ago, yet here was a summons demanding my quiet attendance. My family had cut ties with me the day I chose military service over their polished expectations. My mother, Eleanor, always viewed my achievements as an embarrassment rather than a source of pride. When my father passed away, she forced me to stand in the back during his burial service. She told everyone that my uniform brought shame to our name, effectively erasing me from the bloodline entirely. The formal card bore a single handwritten instruction from Eleanor, telling me to behave myself. It was clear they expected me to sit, quietly in a corner, while my sister took center stage. What they did not realize was that Preston knew exactly who I was. During a chaotic firefight 3 years prior, I had dragged him out of a crumbling trench, saving his life before he ever met Chloe. I booked a late flight across the country without telling a single soul on base. Sitting alone near the airplane window, I remembered the cold stares from my mother and the cruel comments Chloe used to throw my way. Chloe had always competed with me, constantly trying to undermine my character. Now she was marrying a man who owed his very existence to my intervention on the battlefield. When my plane landed, my phone buzzed with an incoming call from Chloe. Her voice sounded patronizing as she warned me not to draw attention to myself at the ceremony. She mocked my service, calling my career a simple security job and laughing about how invisible I had become. I remained completely calm, ending the conversation without giving her the emotional reaction she desperately wanted from me. That evening at the rehearsal dinner, Eleanor placed my seat near the noisy kitchen doors. Chloe stood before the guests, making subtle jabs about how I guarded doorways for important people. The gathered relatives snickered politely, accepting her narrative without question. A retired colonel sitting nearby looked at my chest medals with sudden recognition, but my mother quickly interrupted him, steering the conversation back toward her favorite daughter. The wedding ceremony took place inside a breathtaking cathedral decorated with white orchids. My assigned seat at the reception was tucked behind a massive stone pillar, completely removed from view. Eleanor had explicitly instructed the event staff to treat me like an unwanted guest. I sat quietly in my formal dress blues, watching my former life play out like a stage play designed to exclude me. During the reception toasts, Chloe took the microphone while holding a crystal glass of champagne. She looked directly toward my distant table and announced to the entire room that her older sister was just a glorified gate guard. Laughter echoed through the banquet hall as Eleanor nodded in agreement, calling me the ultimate disgrace to their family name. The humiliating display was intended to permanently put me in my place. I slowly stood up from my chair, maintaining complete composure amidst the cruel amusement. Preston, standing beside his new bride, suddenly froze as his eyes locked onto mine. He stepped away from Chloe, ignoring her confused expression, and walked directly across the polished dance floor. The entire room fell silent as the groom approached my table with deliberate, disciplined steps that echoed throughout the hall. Preston stopped exactly 1 pace away from me, came to sharp attention, and delivered a flawless military salute. He announced into the quiet room that I was Major General Valerie Hayes, his highest commanding officer who had saved his life under heavy fire. Gasps erupted across the tables as guests realized the magnitude of their mistake. Chloe dropped her microphone in utter shock before fainting onto the floor. Eleanor gasped in horror, knocking over her wine glass as several high-ranking veterans in attendance stood up to salute me. The very relatives who had mocked me moments earlier were now staring in complete disbelief. My mother tried to speak, but her words dissolved into stutters as she recognized the truth of my rank and honor. The fake reality they had constructed shattered instantly before every guest in that room. Later that evening, Eleanor confronted me in the quiet hotel lounge, her voice trembling with anxiety. She begged me to issue a statement to the press to fix the family reputation. I looked her in the eyes and refused to shield her from the consequences of her cruelty. I reminded her that she had spent years trying to erase me, and now she was forced to face the truth. The following morning, Chloe met me near the lobby, attempting to dismiss her speech as a harmless joke. I pulled out a document revealing that she had anonymously filed a false report years ago to stall my military promotion. When confronted with the evidence, She could no longer deny her jealousy. I told her that while she tried to bury my career, she only forced me to grow stronger. Before leaving, I met Preston on the balcony overlooking the city skyline. He admitted that he had married Chloe searching for a quiet life, but realized too late the toxicity within her family. He thanked me for my silence and promised never to let anyone diminish my sacrifice again. I told him to live with his choices and turned away, stepping permanently out of their chaotic world. At the airport terminal, reporters gathered after news of the wedding scene leaked to the media. I used the opportunity to announce the creation of a foundation dedicated to supporting service members betrayed by their own families. Instead of seeking petty revenge, I turned their public humiliation into a movement of empowerment for others who had been silenced. The story sparked nationwide support and deep respect. Weeks later, I presented a new protection protocol at the Pentagon, securing full government funding to defend soldiers from internal family sabotage. Generals and government officials stood in applause as the policy was officially approved. I had transformed years of personal pain into institutional change, proving that no amount of mistreatment could lessen my purpose or my impact on the world. I relocated to a quiet coastal house overlooking the ocean, far away from the shallow expectations of my past. True strength is not found in seeking approval from those who hurt you, but in building a life so solid that their words no longer hold power. Bloodline does not define your worth, and peace comes when you finally decide to honor yourself above all else.